Hello and a very good evening. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. This is Verdict 2013. I'm your host Frank Pereira. Let's begin with the headlines. Campaigning for the Delhi Assembly polls comes to an end. Poll preparations in top gear for the December 4th polls. Election Commission hopes to improve Delhi's voter turnout after record voting in previous assembly polls in 4 states. And voting held at 6 places in Madhya Pradesh after Election Commission ordered re-poll over allegations of booth capturing and EVM malfunction. First up in the bulletin, campaigning for the Delhi Assembly elections came to an end at 5 p.m. today. The state will go to polls on Wednesday when more than 1 crore voters will decide the fate of 810 candidates. Now, preparations for the elections are in top gear as political parties campaign for one last time to woo the voters.
Delhi is the last state among 5 to go to polls in the last few weeks. Campaigning for the assembly polls came to an end today. All the political parties in Free organized multiple rallies across the city in the last 2 days. It was hectic campaigning for key chief ministerial contestants like Sheila Dikshit, Arvind Kejriwal and Dr. Harshvardhan. Parties left no stone unturned to extensively campaign for the key candidates in Delhi. Delhi will be voting for 70 assembly seats on Wednesday. More than 1 crore voters are expected to cast their ballot. The number of male voters is a little more than 66 lakh, while female voters are around 53 lakh. They will decide the fate of 810 candidates, 65 less than in the 2008 polls. Only Congress and Aam Aadmi Party have given candidates in all 70 seats. While BJP has given 68 candidates, it has allowed its ally Shiromani Akali Dal separately to contest in 2 seats. Mayawati's BSP2 is contesting in 69 seats. NCP is contesting in 9 of the 70 seats. More than 11,000 polling stations will be set up in different parts of the capital. The Election Commission hopes to end the polling season on a peaceful note. Adequate security arrangement has been made for the polling day. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Our correspondent Shyam Sundar joins us for more on the story from Delhi at the moment. Shyam, of course, after reaching a crescendo, the campaigning as far as the Delhi polls are concerned has come to an end. It is going to be extremely crucial now. Of course, everything is in the hands of the voters.
Yeah, definitely, and Election Commission is trying its best to ensure a very good voter turnout after Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, and we have seen a record voter turnout in Rajasthan yesterday only. And but as far as Delhi's record is concerned, it's not very good, and especially the areas where rich and literate people stay, and the areas where generally people are very vocal on the issues, they don't come out and vote. But this time Election Commission is hoping that turnout will be very good because the electoral rolls are improved, and now Election Commission ensures that voter slip reaches every house so that there is no confusion, no problem for the voters. And everybody is hoping, and the kind of campaign political parties were doing in Delhi, so everybody is hoping that there will be a good turnout in Delhi also.
All right, do stay with us, Shyam. We'll take another aspect of the story and come back to you for another reaction on that as well. Now, the Delhi Assembly elections this year promises a few high-profile contests. The entry of Aam Aadmi Party in the fray has turned an otherwise Congress and BJP contest into a three-way affair already. Let's now take a look at some of the key contests and candidates whose fate will be decided on December 4th.
After 3 consecutive tenures, Delhi's Chief Minister Sheila Dikshit is seeking a 4th term in the capital. Anti-incumbency was a factor back in 2008 as well, but she defeated it hands down. This year though, the picture has changed a bit. Aam Aadmi Party's promise to bring in changes to the system is the new wave in the capital post Anna Hazare's anti-corruption rallies. Though there's always a difference between what's perceived and what transpires in the ballot box, the new entrant is likely to add competition to the big two. The most keenly watched contest in Delhi will be for the New Delhi Assembly seat. 3-time Chief Minister Sheila Dikshit will be hoping to do an encore. Challenging her will be Aam Aadmi Party's chief ministerial candidate Arvind Kejriwal, who has risen from being Anna Hazare's aide during anti-corruption campaigns to a political figure promising to cleanse the system. That's the reason he has chosen broom as his party symbol. BJP's prestige at the New Delhi constituency is in the hands of Vijay Dev, a former chief of his party's Delhi unit. BJP has chosen to field its chief ministerial candidate from a different constituency. Harshvardhan will contest from the Krishnanagar constituency, a seat from where he has won 4 times in a row. In Malviya Nagar, Sheila's minister and a veteran MLA Kiran Walia will lock horns with Aarti Mehra, a former mayor of the Delhi Municipal Corporation. Kiran Walia has had an unbeaten record since 1998. BJP's Aarti Mehra would be hoping to stop her apple cart this time. Dr. A.K. Walia, the health minister in Sheila Dikshit's cabinet, will be looking forward to retain his Lakshmi Nagar seat. He has been an MLA from this region since 2003. With no known face against him this time, he is expected to continue his unbeaten run. However, the fight for the neighbouring Patparganj seat will see a tough contest between Congress and Aam Aadmi Party. 3-time MLA Anil Kumar will face a stiff challenge from Aam Aadmi Party's Manish Sisodia, a trusted aide of Arvind Kejriwal. All political parties have extensively campaigned for their high-profile candidates in the run-up to the polls. It remains to be seen whether there will be a turn of tide in the capital after 15 years of Congress rule. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Shyam, coming back to you now, of course, quite a few high-profile names and quite a few high-profile candidates there in the fray for the Delhi polls. And there are going to be quite a few big contests as well. But the biggest one has to be for the New Delhi constituency seat.
Definitely, Sheila Dikshit and Arvind Kejriwal and a former BJP president in Delhi, Vijay Gupta, the main candidates are these three. And the way Arvind Kejriwal challenged Sheila Dikshit that he will contest only against Sheila Dikshit, and Sheila Dikshit also said that she chose New Delhi because she didn't want to give an impression that she ran away from contesting against Arvind Kejriwal. So that is the high profile contest, no doubt. But if you see this time election in Delhi is really getting very interesting, because in last 3 elections there was contest between BJP and Congress, but this time at least campaign has shown us that it seems 3-corner fight in Delhi election this time, though main contestant BJP and Congress both are trying to dismiss Aam Aadmi Party factor, but everybody knows that the way effective campaign has been launched by Aam Aadmi Party, it is going to be a major factor in these elections, though experts say that from Aam Aadmi Party, main opposition party, BJP is more worried because it can eat up its anti-Congress or anti-incumbency votes. So, but whatever be the results, and only 8th we will know that how far Aam Aadmi Party has affected these elections, or what share they get in Delhi elections. But definitely Aam Aadmi Party is making this contest very interesting.
Well, certainly the Aam Aadmi Party is making this contest extremely interesting. We just have to wait for another week and see what exactly or how much of an impact the Aam Aadmi Party is going to have on these polls. Do stay with us, Shyam. We'll come back to you for another reaction in just a bit. Of course, now over the years, Delhi has not seen much enthusiasm among its voters, be it the assembly polls or Lok Sabha elections. The number of people who voted in the capital has been a matter of concern for the Election Commission. With several programs undertaken by the poll panel, it hopes to turn around the figures this time around.
4 of the 5 states that went to polls ahead of Delhi have seen record turnout. Even in Maoist-affected Chhattisgarh, the turnout was astounding given the fact that they had faced several threats from the armed group. Here is a look at how Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Mizoram and Rajasthan voted. Polling in Chhattisgarh was held in 2 phases to tackle the Maoist threat. In the first phase, when Maoist-affected areas went to polls, the turnout was 67%. The second phase saw a record turnout of 74.7%. Madhya Pradesh saw a record 71.24%, a rise of at least 2% from 2008 polls. Mizoram matched its 2008 record and saw more than 81% polling. Yesterday, Rajasthan saw voter turnout in excess of 75%, a sharp rise from 2008 figures of 66%. Many attribute this to the Election Commission's immense efforts to create awareness among voters this time. They had organized campaigns, road shows and several other programs to ensure voters come out in large numbers. In Delhi too, the Election Commission has left no stone unturned to improve the figures.
इस बार इलेक्शन कमीशन की तरफ से बहुत सारे इनिशिएटिव्स लिए जा रहे हैं, जिसमें कि वो सारे कॉजेज़ जो कि लो वोटर टर्नआउट के हैं उनको एनालाइज किया गया है और राइट अप टू द पोलिंग स्टेशन हमने लो वोटर टर्नआउट एरियाज़ को आइडेंटिफाई किया है और अप्रोप्रिएट इंटरवेंशनल टेक्निक्स हमने अडॉप्ट की हैं हर एरिया के लिए, हर सोशल ग्रुप के लिए, हर इनकम ग्रुप के लिए, हर एज ग्रुप के लिए। पार्टिसिपेशन है, यूथ का जो ज़ील है उसे देखते हुए मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि इस बार का इलेक्शन एक रिकॉर्ड ब्रेकिंग इलेक्शन होगा।
Traditionally, Delhi has seen low voter turnout. In the 1998 elections, less than half of the Delhi's electors came out to vote. 2003 saw a marginal rise in figures when 53% voters cast ballot. In the last assembly polls in 2008, the turnout was 57.8%, much lower than the average turnout in assembly polls this year. This year, approximately 1.15 crore people will vote in Delhi, out of which 3.49 lakh first-time voters in the age group of 18 to 19 will be able to exercise their franchise. The poll panel is concentrating on these young voters to improve the figure, and the young voters showed enough enthusiasm. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Shyam, coming back to you now, of course, low voter turnout has been one of the major concerns as far as polls in Delhi are concerned. But what's being done this time around by the Election Commission to try and improve on that figure?
Definitely, and this time specifically, there will be a nota button on EVM. Generally, people say that because they don't like any candidate, that's why they are not going to the polling stations. But this time, they will have an option to reject all the candidates, and they can register their vote. So this time, this will also be a factor. If you don't like any candidate, then you can go for nota option. And as in our report, we have heard that many steps from Election Commission has been taken, and now we have better electoral rolls. There are photographs of every voter there, so there is no question of identity proof and things like that. So, and there are many help centers near every polling station. So we can hope that the way turnout has been recorded in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan yesterday, the voter turnout in Delhi will also improve.
All right, and let's look at the Election Commission per se, of course, Shyam. What has happened this time around is the fact that 4 states have already gone to polls in a span of just a couple of weeks, of course, and we've seen record voter turnout in these states as well. So what is the role of the Election Commission here in ensuring that there has been record voter turnout in the previous states as well?
Well, as far as Election Commission is concerned, not only in India but in the whole world, Indian Election Commission's efforts are appreciated, and the kind of elections we have in India, it's a huge country, and the way Election Commission has conducted elections in India is commendable, and everybody knows this. Not only in India, but India is helping other election commissions also in Afghanistan and many other countries. So as far as in these assembly elections are concerned, as I told you, electoral rolls are much better. Now Election Commission is delivering voter slips directly to your houses, and there is no issues related. You don't have to go to any political party's booth. So if you want to be neutral and you don't want to show your association with any political party, and you want to exercise your voting right, so Election Commission is making every possible effort to ensure that there is no problem you face when you go to polling station for casting your vote.
All right, do stay with us, Shyam. Of course, we'll come back to you for a thought later on the show as well when we come back to this particular segment and talk about the polls here in Delhi. Of course, meanwhile, our correspondent Pranav Goswami caught up with the Chief Electoral Officer of Delhi, Vijay Dev, to talk about the preparations of the Election Commission ahead of the December 4th polls. And this is what he had to say.
Hectic campaign schedule for Delhi Assembly election is over now. We have with us Sri Ankur Garg ji, Chief Nodal Officer in Delhi. Sir, what arrangements have been made to ensure free and fair polling?
All the arrangements, both security related and polling related arrangements, are fully in place. The entire election machinery under the supervision of Delhi Election Commission and Election Commission of India is geared up. We are following all statutory rules, and about 75,000 civilian personnel and an equal number of security police personnel and CPMF forces are ready to do their duty for the Delhi Legislative Assembly elections.
Right. So there are some critical polling stations, especially border areas. What extra precaution which has been taken specifically for those critical polling stations?
You see, after a detailed joint exercise with Delhi Police, we have identified more than 600 such locations, which can be categorized as critical or hypercritical. So in all these polling stations, we will be adopting multiple methods. For example, there could be use of either central paramilitary forces, use of micro-observers, or use of webcasting. So one out of these three, or a combination of two, or all three, depending on the criticality of the polling station, these methods will be using at these identified locations.
So Delhi has always seen very low voter turnout. How are you encouraging voters to use their voting rights this time?
We have launched a very extensive sweep campaign, which is primarily a voter awareness program, and which has been coordinated at the district level. All our 9 districts did it, and our CO office did it, under which a variety of programs were held all over Delhi to motivate people to come out and vote on 4th. Plus, we did some targeted interventions, like in rural areas. We spread out this message through sports like Kabaddi. Then we went to colleges in Delhi and specifically target first-time voters.
Election Commission has made adequate arrangements for smooth polling this time. With camera person Gajen, this is Pranav Goswami, Raya Sabha TV, Delhi.
We are now joined by our correspondent who brought us that report, Pranav Goswami himself. Pranav, what are the kind of special arrangements that the Election Commission has made this time around so as to ensure there is free and fair polling in Delhi?
Election Commission is all set to conduct a free and fair poll in Delhi. In fact, the Election Commission is trying their level best to ensure that no electoral disturbance incidents could take place during poll. And especially there are some critical and hypercritical polling stations in Delhi, especially border areas. So Election Commission is deployed central paramilitary forces for smooth polling, and also forces from neighboring states like Uttar Pradesh and Haryana. They've also been deployed. And one more interesting thing this time during the poll, that Delhi has seen always a very low voter turnout. This time Election Commission has started some awareness programs, so that because urban voters, they are very apathetic towards casting their vote. This time Election Commission has actually started so many awareness programs through advertisement and all, so that the Delhi vote percentage could go up.
All right, Pranav Goswami, thank you so much for joining us there with that ground report and bringing us up to date with the latest. On that note, we'll slip into a short break now, but we'll be right back. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Verdict 2013. Well, being the national capital, Delhi is home to people from different parts of the country with varied cultural and economic backgrounds. That is why issues vary from one set of voters to the other. But broadly, there are some core issues that have affected the lives of most people living in the city. We have identified 5 of them. Now, one of the biggest concerns for Delhiites has been the question of security for women. Rising cases of assault against women has dominated politics in the national capital for the last few years, especially after the December 16 gang rape that outraged the entire nation. The issue has become one of the key factors this time around. Price rise is another issue that has affected everyone, especially the urban middle class, which is battling against the menace. Rising prices of essential commodities coupled with rising fuel prices are matters of concern for voters. Power tariff, which has gone up manyfold in the last few years, is another matter of concern for the voters. The issue has been prominently addressed in all major political manifestos this time around. It remains to be seen whether the promises to cut down the tariff will actually woo voters. Several parts of Delhi still do not have drinking water. At some places, people are not even served clean drinking water. It has been one of the major concerns for Delhi voters for a long time now. Regularizing unauthorized colonies will be another big challenge for all the parties in the fray. Whoever comes to power will have the pressure to regularize the remaining colonies in the capital. Well, we are now joined by our correspondent Shyam Sundar once again. Of course, Shyam, clearly it's not the macro issues but the micro issues that directly affect the voters that are going to be key as far as these elections are concerned.
Well, Frank, as you told in your introduction that Delhi is national capital, and generally we have seen assembly elections are fought on local issues, but because Delhi is national capital, opposition has made corruption, price rise, big issues, whether it's Aam Aadmi Party or BJP. But if we talk about different parties, for Congress has promised double-decker flyovers here. Congress has claimed that on the issue of price rise, Delhi government has intervened, and the prices are coming down, and they will come down further. And it was a temporary phenomena because it was a transitional phase when every year vegetables get their prices rise in Delhi and other parts of country also. As far as security issue is concerned, BJP and Aam Aadmi Party, they have campaigned against Congress here in Delhi, but Sheila Dikshit has promised a single command system which can ensure a better coordination between different ministries. And as all of us know, Sheila Dikshit is facing this issue, but Delhi police comes under central government. They directly report to Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, and ultimately they report to Ministry of Home Affairs. But yes, because security is a big issue in Delhi, and Sheila Dikshit has to reply on this issue also. BJP has promised one cylinder every month on subsidized rates, and they have promised that if they come to power, they will cut 30% in electricity prices. Right. And Aam Aadmi Party has claimed that they will cut 50% of electricity prices in Delhi if they come to power. So mainly, if you want to identify issues, corruption, price rise, and electricity prices are the main issues which were raised by different political parties in campaign in Delhi.
All right, we'll have to leave it at that. Shyam Sundar, thank you so much for joining us there with all those details and bringing in those perspectives as well to all of those stories. Now, the Delhi Metro has made special arrangements to help out poll officers and voters during Delhi Assembly polls. Metro services will start from 4 a.m. on the day of Assembly elections in the capital on December 4th. For the convenience of the staff deployed for election duty, train services will run at an interval of 30 minutes on all the lines till 5 a.m. After 5 a.m., the metro trains will run as per the normal timetable throughout the day on all lines. More than 1 crore voters are expected to come out and vote on Wednesday. Several of them are expected to use the metro rail service to reach polling stations. Shifting focus to Madhya Pradesh now, voting has taken place in 6 of the seats today after the Election Commission directed, of course, to conduct the repoll. Following reports of voting irregularities and other complaints, the Commission ordered repolling at these polling stations in 5 constituencies. According to officials, an incident of booth capturing had taken place at Sumawali while EVMs had been allegedly damaged by some anti-social elements in Leher. In Panagarh and Sirmoor, the polling officers kept pressing wrong buttons, resulting in votes not getting registered. In Ujjain, the presiding officer had forgotten to clear the mock poll votes, which resulted in the votes getting added in the final tally. Moving on now, issues like clean drinking water and sewage will be on the minds of voters in Malviya Nagar when Delhi goes to vote in 2 days' time. Political parties launched extensive campaigning to woo voters in this constituency, but will that win the hearts of voters? Let's find out.
This time, Malviya Nagar constituency will see a contest between Delhi's Social and Welfare Minister Kiran Walia and a former mayor of Municipal Corporation of Delhi, Aarti Mehra. But people in Malviya Nagar are more concerned about the other issues that affect their daily lives. They have several complaints for the candidates seeking vote here.
गलियों में ठीक से काम नहीं हो पा रहा है और सीवर लाइन एक बार डल गई है फिर वो बंद हो जाती है तो फ़ोन करते रहते हैं लोग जल्दी से कोई काम नहीं करवाते हैं।
आम आदमी सब्जी के रेटों से बहुत परेशान है। बाकी मूलभूत सुविधाएं जो हमारे को सड़कों की हाउस टैक्स की बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है जो यहाँ की हमारी विधायिका है वो सॉल्व नहीं कर पाई।
अरे सब क्या है कि सब मुश्किल था भैया कोई बालक नौकरी मिलती ना सब्जी सब आग लागी पड़ी से इतना बिल दो उतना बिल दो फलाना दो झगड़ा दो कितने लाओ गरीब आदमी।
In the village area, cleanliness and condition of roads is a major issue. Sitting MLA and Minister Kiran Walia blames the MCD for the negligence. However, former MCD Mayor Aarti Mehra has criticized the MLA for lack of development in the constituency despite being a minister in the government. Malviya Nagar has traditionally been a Congress stronghold. For the last 15 years, they have won from this constituency. But with the newly formed Aam Aadmi Party in the fray, this election is expected to be a three-way contest. Now Vikram Singh, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Verdict 2013. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again same time, same place tomorrow.